Again, yeah. Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome first time.
We
have a couple first timers here too. Hopefully,
I would hope everybody went back and listened to it. I've been following the numbers. Not a lot. That's fine though. We're brand new.
The fact that anybody is listening to us in the first place, touche to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But we got a lot to talk about this week. We got a lot.
Oh my gosh,
what's happened in the last couple of weeks?
It was so funny. I was so excited after dropping that podcast last week. I was so jazzed. I was ready to do another one in 30 minutes. I was ready to go again. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, we covered a lot. There's plenty went on this week. national championship game, pretty good. And then
this week happened.
Monday happened.
This week happened.
Oh my gosh!
Okay,
a lot of stuff.
Anybody listening, we're about to jump into it, but I want to give a little quick shout out. If you like what you hear, or you don't like what you hear, tell us how much we suck or how awesome we are. At our Twitter handle, Twitter handle at boom_buck. I've been trying to tweet a little bit out, but I'm still not good at this twiddle thing. But try my best to get it going.
It's because we're old men.
Okay, so after that, all right, let's jump in this. We got a long story. Let's go.
Yeah, got a lot. We're not going to be able to touch everything, but we're going to touch as much as we can.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
All right, so first and foremost, the national championship game. We talked about it first, and I will be first on the boat to say and eat some crow. I had Clemson. I thought they were going to handle it. And LSU came out and handled business. And on a plus note, it made me feel not so bad about my Sooners because, LSU pretty much beat the shit out of everybody that stood in their way.
Yeah. We talked about it. It was very much a coin flip game. Like we had said that. We felt like either way, either team could win depending on how it went. I am not eating crow this week because I guessed correctly.
You did guess correctly. Yeah,
I did. And it ended up not being the case. It started off like Clemson came in looking really good. Like they were moving the ball. They scored first. They took the early lead.
They scored a couple times.
They were doing exactly what you said. They were being meticulous. They didn't have any real big plays starting off, except for I can't remember exactly when it was. It was like an end around wide receiver shovel pass for a touchdown, and I think that was the second quarter. But I don't get too into detail on that one. But they were moving the ball. They were moving the ball well against LSU's, and I'm going to say it right now, quote unquote bad defense.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm saying quote unquote because I think the idea of LSU having a bad defense was incorrect.
Yeah,
and I would say they played very well.
Yeah, I mean, kind of my interpretations of the game and watching the games is, LSU looked a lot better than I thought they were. Not that they looked bad all season because they did look really good. I just didn't know going against Clemson's defense how they'd look.
Right.
And they showed out. They looked unbelievable. But I think we kind of expect that. I will say that first and foremost, I want to tip my hat to that LSU defense. They were unbelievable, out of this world, that game. I'm kind of given roundabout numbers, but Ohio State's offense was we talked about all season was incredibly good. They had a running game, they had a passing game, they did everything. And after the first quarter, Ohio State's offense did not do a lot. They slowed down a lot after the first quarter.
Yeah.
And LSU just obliterated them on defense.
Yeah, I wouldn't say obliterated because you're talking about. Listen, the idea of they slowed them down for sure. They scored 25 points. They scored under their average, and they
You
moved
say
the
that
ball
like
under
they
their
held
average.
Clemson to 8 points in the second half. 30 minutes of football.
Yeah.
Clemson scored the first time I think they had the ball. I'm pretty sure it was the first time they had the ball. Got a touchdown,
Yeah.
got a 2-point conversion. They didn't see even a field goal for the rest of the game. And
Yeah.
that is a team that did incredibly, like they moved the ball very well against Ohio State. I want to say like they had like over like approaching, if they didn't have 200 yards rushing against Ohio State, they were close. They moved the ball very well against Ohio State, and Ohio State's defense was incredibly good.
Yeah,
And LSU shut,
especially on run defense.
LSU shut them down. Like, and kind of watching that
Yeah.
game, kind of the interpretation I had was, on offense for Clemson, in my mind, the only guy that looked like he was playing hard and deserved to be on that field. Not that Trevor Lawrence didn't deserve, quote unquote, to be there. He just looked flustered. T. Higgins looked flustered. There's guys that looked flustered and they didn't know what to do. The only guy that I really felt like you should have been there was Travis Etienne. I think he had a pretty dang good game,
Yeah.
and he ran hard.
Yeah, he ran his heart out.
He
Yeah.
played well. And kind of in my rant last week, I brought up the fact that that we were talking. If this LSU team beats up on Clemson, which they did, where do they rank all time? And kind of a little fact that I saw in my mind, I don't know if I'm going to put them number one, but I'm definitely going to put them in the top 5 easily, maybe top 3. Like they're in that discussion of where they belong. They've pretty much swept every single award. They had a quarterback that had literally statistically the greatest season of any quarterback ever, which is impressive.
Yep.
Their wide receivers did fantastic. Hilaire was fantastic. And so their opponents this year, right, won. Oh, and by the way, they've beat all these sons of bitches. Mind you, what I'm about to say, they beat all these teams. Their opponents won the ACC, the Big 12, the SEC East, the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, the Alamo Bowl, and the Texas Bowl. And that's their schedule, and they rolled them all.
Yes, they did.
Like the one game that was close was the Ole Miss game, which everybody has a slip up every now and then. Understandable. But other than that, they pretty much rolled everybody. And for that reason, yeah, I'll put them top 3. I mean, the 95 Nebraska team will always be up there. The 01 Miami team will always be up there.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, I hate to interrupt you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you hear anything going on in my background, my daughter has come out of her bedroom, and she's blaring her tablet, even though I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to be recording.
I'm hungry.
And she's hungry.
And they're hungry.
And she forgot I was recording. Because she's 10 and things go in one ear and
That's
not
true.
the other.
And also their opponents, 7 of their opponents were ranked in the top 10 when they played.
Right. I don't hold too much water in that sense because you run into the whole, you run into this situation that usually Ohio State is in. People always say Ohio State doesn't play anybody, but their teams end up finishing pretty well. But this time around, you can't argue with final tallies, with final scores, with big bowl wins. Like we said it before. Texas at the time, yeah, they were in the top 10, but they weren't really that big of a win. But then they haul off and they destroy
Utah.
I
They
forgot
played Utah.
what bowl they played
They played
in.
the- They
Destroyed
played the Texas
Utah.
Bowl and they destroyed Utah. No, I'm sorry. They played the Alamo Bowl. Alamo Bowl. But yeah.
Yeah, and Utah, well, it's Texas, but Utah is not a bad team.
No, Utah was a lot better than I was expecting it to be. Granted, they play in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
But they had a pretty good defense. They have Hunley at quarterback, and I forgot what that running back's name was. Off the top of my head, but
Yeah, I forget his
he's
name
pretty good
too.
too. But yeah, Texas. But I mean, they're back, obviously.
Obvious.
Everybody, I say that as a joke. If you cannot tell my tone, and trust me, I will get into that later on. How Texas is not back, and if they are back, they're back to being a mediocre team. as they always are, beyond future talk. But yeah, I was incredibly impressed with LSU. I thought LSU did incredibly well, and
Yeah. Offense is legitimate. Like, they finished as the top offense in the country, and it
Right.
showed because Clemson's defense is very good.
Clemson's defense was
It's Clemson's defense is, and they could not stop LSU. You're talking about, and by the way, I called it on the players not named Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow. I said the two wide receivers. Jamar Chase went 9 for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jefferson had no touchdowns, but he had 9 for 106.
Yeah.
That's receptions. That's not targets. That's receptions.
Yeah,
And then Thaddeus Moss out of nowhere.
Yeah, Thaddeus Moss. Well, I mean, Thaddeus Moss had 1 touchdown. Yeah, I think he had 1 touchdown against Oklahoma. So, in 2 games, he had freaking 3 touchdowns, which is, hold your own pretty damn good. So I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah. So my person that I said not named Joe Burrow didn't have the touchdowns, but I had Edward Zelaire, who had 16 carries for 110 yards and 5 receptions for 54 yards. So 21 touches for 170 yards almost.
Yeah, had some very big first down conversions.
Yeah,
they were very important.
Yeah, he played well. But yeah, and kind of, we're going to get into this. I think we talked about next week about our look ahead. But yeah, I mean, LSU better be glad you got it this year because.
Yeah, we're going to get more in depth on that one because.
Yeah, they're going to get pretty ripped up this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think this game was.
Yeah, hats off to LSU, man.
They played fantastic,
without a doubt. I say that easily, and I'll say it if the game, if the Clemson Ohio State game goes in the other direction, Ohio State ends up winning. I don't think Ohio State beats LSU.
No,
I don't
either.
Because, and I want to bring up this point is because I talked about it last week with good teams taking advantage of mistakes made by the opposing team. LSU led that game in penalties. They had 11 for 118 yards, and they still won by 3 scores.
Yeah, they
made mistakes like crazy, and maybe there were some questionable calls. I don't know. You had some face masks that weren't called, some holding calls that maybe didn't need to be called, some downfield blindside blocks that shouldn't have been called, stuff like that. But 3 scores.
Well, yeah, that one was against Clemson, and I want to just real quick tap on that. Granted, it would not have changed the outcome of the game, but I will say there was one where I forgot what the tight end for Clemson is, but he caught a deep ball and he's running down the middle of the field, and I think it was Justin Ross. I don't know if it was Justin Ross or T. Higgins, one of the Clemson wide receivers. Came from the right side and popped the hell out of one of the LSU D-backs and got a blindside block. Mind you, his head was in front. It was not behind him. He did not go helmet to helmet. He lowered his shoulder. He did a clean block. And because old boy for LSU did not have his head on a swivel and did not realize his situation and got popped, a Clemson player got a 15-yard penalty. I think that's absolute bullshit. I think that is the most...
I agree.
That was
a bad
you've
call.
got tunnel vision and you're looking ahead and you don't see someone coming to the right and he does a complete legal, it was not targeting, and lays you out, that's on you, man. That is on you. Get your head on a swivel, realize your surroundings. You're playing D1 football in the national championship game. You're playing the tops of college football. You got to realize where you're at. I hate that call. I hate that call.
Yeah, that was a bad call. But like you said, it ultimately didn't end up
LSU still wins that game. That's
affecting
just
the
one
outcome
of
of
the
the
things
game.
that stuck out in my head, and it's kind of goes back to what we talked about last week. And you asked me about the targeting calls, and it wasn't targeting, but it's another thing.
Right.
And I understand the whole, trying to make the game safer, and I do get that. However, it
was a big hit, but it wasn't anything that was like, you're not going to see that on a NCAA biggest hits compilation on
No,
YouTube.
no.
You know, it was a big hit, but it wasn't like it was like, oh, it didn't happen like that.
Jaw-jarring. Like the guy popped right up. Like, okay, you know, got smacked but got up. Yeah, so that's kind of one game, and like the penalties, and we'll probably get into that a little later down the road.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, Clemson had the number one pass defense in the country. Excuse me, sorry about that. And LSU had 463 yards passing.
ridiculous.
Yeah, just absolutely asinine. Yeah, tip my hat. LSU national champs 2020.
Yeah.
Got nothing more to say about that.
That's pretty much all I got on. Oh, I do have one more thing. What in the entire world was Odell Beckham Jr. thinking, handing out cash to the players after the game?
Oh God, he wasn't thinking. I mean, we'll see what the hell happens, but it's the stupidest thing in the world. I mean,
I believe you said something along the lines that the NCAA had stated that or the university had said he's not a booster, or he's not affiliated with the
LSU
team.
released a statement that said that he is not affiliated with the team. However, he was standing on the sideline all game. He was in their locker room after the game. Like, what the fuck do you mean he's not affiliated with your team? Like, this is stupid.
He 100%. He's an all. Come on.
Yeah, he's 100%.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet nothing comes of it. It's not going to have anything to do with the, there's not going to be any reversing or reversal or say, hey, you have to, vacate that win or anything like that, because it was after the game. But...
No, it's more about, it has nothing to do with vacating the wins. I think it'll have to do with like the whole players accepting money. And who do you give money to? I mean, granted, the big one is him handing Jefferson God knows how much cash. God knows.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take that money.
I did love when somebody asked Joe Burrow. He's like, "Did he give you? Was that real money?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it was real."
Yeah, there was no question if that's real money. It was definitely real money.
It was that. Like the follow after the game was almost as crazy as the game was.
Well,
overall.
and the sad part is, as Odell Beckham did this, and like LSU had a season for the ages. Joe Burrow had a season that we've never seen before, and all anybody's talking about really is OBJ. They're not talking about LSU as a top 3 team of all time, top 5 team of all time.
Of all time.
They're not talking about what they did on the field. They're talking about what happened after the game and what happened in the locker room.
Yep.
And it's too bad. Like, OBJ made it about him when he shouldn't have. He should have.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. If you want to celebrate like that, win the fucking national championship when you're there. Go in with the Browns. Go in with whoever team you're gonna be in next year. Don't take this away from these kids. This is their spotlight. This ain't your spotlight. Shut up and let these kids have their fun.
Completely agree with that one.
So talking about OBJ and the next level, moving.
Final. It's
a
final now.
Okay, so we not next Sunday. It's a week from Sunday. Or 2 weeks from today.
Yeah,
2 weeks from today.
weeks.
We have the Super Bowl, and it looks like we have got the Kansas City Chiefs against the San Francisco 49ers.
And I will actually be watching because the Patriots aren't there.
The funny thing is the Patriots there, you're going to watch because everybody wants to watch them lose.
Even then I didn't watch. I would keep track of the score, but they're the Alabama of the NFL. It just sucks the oxygen out. It's like, all right, yeah, you guys are probably going to win.
See,
it'll probably be exciting.
That's the thing that kind of, like, for me with the Patriots, it came full circle. The first time they won, first or second time they won, like, oh my God, like, I can't believe this happened. Then it got to the point of like, okay, this is getting old. And then it has now come back full circle to me of like, this dynasty is unreal. There's a very good chance that, we're old. So in our lifetime, we probably will never see another NFL dynasty like this.
Have we ever?
Oh,
because you got to think they won 5 in the span of, let's see, 2002 was their first to today. That's 18 years.
right.
They won 5 in 18 years.
I mean, like, this was the first First time in 10 years they
Well-
played on Wild Card Weekend.
Well, 17
It's
years.
just
Yeah.
idiotic. Yeah, the Patriots being there. I like the Patriots being there. I think it's kind of fun. I like Tom Brady. I think he's hilarious.
I
Down even.
him.
Just because he went to Michigan.
and it's not. That is 100% why I hate
Yeah.
him. And all of my Michigan fan friends who hopefully have tuned into this show, Boom and Bug Podcast, coming at you. Because I'm from Northwest Ohio. It's 50-50 Ohio State, Michigan, because we're so close to the border. And I got some very close friends of mine, some friends of mine that I've been friends with for 20 years. And I got to hear from them. By the way, the greatest NFL quarterback of all time went to Michigan, right? I'm like, yeah, I know. So I got to hear it constantly.
Yeah.
Listen, I 100% respect him. He's a great guy. He's really funny. I do agree with you. He's actually really funny. His humor's very dry. He's a great dad.
Well, he's fantastic. But anyways,
Yeah.
let's not make this about the Patriots.
All right, yeah. Because they're not in the Super Bowl.
The 49ers Chiefs. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is about the Niners. Maybe it's because they've sucked for, I don't know, the last lots of years.
Yeah, I want to say the last time we were this good was 2012 when they lost to the Ravens.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so even when they were they went 13-3 and they're just rolling everybody in the playoffs. And still, for some reason, I just don't believe in them. I don't know why. It's just kind of like, I just kind of waiting for them to fail. And then all they do is just prove me wrong. That defense is fantastic.
Yeah. Very good.
The offense is surprisingly well.
I've told you when we were messaging about as the game was going on before, their O-line is
The
phenomenal.
O-line's great. I think they're the only team. I know it's the only team this year. I don't know what the stats is. I'd have to look it up. That have 3 players with over 600 yards rushing.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that. They do the running back by committee, and this guy, Mostert, who came, which I've never heard of him before.
Yeah.
He's got 772 yards on the season out of Purdue. Like, I didn't even know. Like, you know me, I'm a big Big Ten fan. I've never heard of him until now.
Yeah, he's averaging over 5.5 yards a carry. He's got 8 touchdowns. Like, who the hell are you?
And he got 229 today.
He had 229. I didn't even see the stats. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's wow.
No, sorry. 29 attempts, 220 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Good God.
Just insane. And Matt Breida, their other running back, also very good.
Back.
Tevin Coleman, who was in Atlanta for a long time, just
Yeah.
that. And when you talk about the idea of not believing in San Francisco was one of my Super Bowl finalists. I thought they were going to make it to the Super Bowl, and they did. So I have been believing because their defense is so good.
You said that at the beginning of the playoffs. At the beginning of the season, you did not have the Niners up there.
No, I did not. Just because I didn't know how Jimmy G was going to do coming in.
I bet you like halfway through the season, you probably didn't even have the Super Bowl. Coming about 3/4 away when they're 9-2, like, okay, yeah, this team's real. And plus the NFC was not fantastic.
No.
I think the AFC was a little bit more just top heavy.
Difficult. Yeah, you've got the Patriots, the Chiefs,
the Ravens, the Texans.
any of those I could have seen in the
Right.
Super Bowl.
And not that the NFC was bad, but I mean the NFC East was hot garbage.
It was really strange. The East is, jeez, that division. The NFC West was very good. You got the Niners and the
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
And the Rams weren't bad. And then
Rams kind of came on slow, but they opened up
and
about halfway
the Saints are
midway
always
through the season.
Saints, but we've sat here talking about it, but like, let's get real. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the Niners, but I don't see anybody stopping Kansas City. They do feel a lot like LSU, like we were talking about. Once that offense gets chugging and once it gets going, I mean, they scored 51 points against the Texans. They scored 35 points against the Titans. Like, this team, when it gets moving, is just absurd.
Yeah. It's almost like Patrick Mahomes was like, oh, yeah, I was the MVP last year.
Oh, I guess I'll start playing.
So I better play like it.
So,
Yeah.
but interesting, their leading rusher, granted he's an OU boy, but Damian Williams, I mean, he has less than 500 yards.
Yeah. They're not running the ball a whole lot.
Well, I mean, they ran for
No.
1,500 yards. They averaged almost 100 yards a game, but that's not that much. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins and
Yeah, I forgot Sammy Watkins was there too.
I mean, they're just so loaded, and I think San Francisco. I honestly I see it panning out a lot like the championship game. I think Kansas City at the beginning.
It's similar.
Yeah, I
You're
think
right.
at the beginning they'll kind of try to be figuring out how to do it. Like, okay, they might get little 49ers in that front four might kind of question them or make them stifle them a little bit, and then Kansas City will start moving, and then the floodgates will open. And
yeah, I think I want to go into it a little bit deeper next week. You know, we got a whole week leading up into it because we got a lot to talk about.
on
our next topic.
well,
and
well,
I could talk about this next topic.
well,
for
no,
an hour.
the next topic we're not quite to that one. Next one is Connor versus Cowboy.
Oh yeah.
Next one we got.
This one's easy to go over. Yeah.
So
once again, hey, I'm gonna send you your from if they were our sponsor, Blue Box, so, a nice plate of crow because you were wrong on that one too.
I was wrong. So kind of.
I wanted Cowboy to win. I did.
Well,
but
so
I didn't think
I've always been a huge Connor fan. I still am a huge Connor fan. I just thought that Connor's fought in the octagon once in the last 18 months, 24 months.
Yep.
And Cowboy fights in the octagon. Literally, it seems like every week he's in there
regularly. Yeah.
And I just thought that he'd have some ring rust, and training is one thing, but when you get into the octagon, ready to fight somebody who has been trained to rip your damn head off, it's a whole different beast. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was wrong because Connor had no ring rust. He looked like the Conor McGregor of old. And
Oh yeah, I said yeah. So all the talk I've heard was he looks really good. His movement looks fantastic, and he's got some new things. And one of those new things was the shoulder strike. What do you call that?
I don't know. Shoulder pounce. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
broke Cowboy's nose with it.
yeah, he shattered that. Yeah, Connor last night. He looked like the Connor of 4 years ago, the one that took the UFC by storm, that took the world by storm. Everybody knew who Conor McGregor was, and he looked back to that. And surprisingly, seems more mature, seems more humble.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know if it was
Oh, yeah.
Khabib whipping the shit out of him, which Khabib did.
Yeah.
Humbled him or what, but yeah, he was. Well, first off, I say that. Granted, he was fighting Cowboy, and it's hard to talk shit to Cowboy because everybody loves Cowboy. I mean,
Yeah, he's
even
fantastic.
Connor was hugging Cowboy's grandma in the ring
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, I saw that. That was
Yeah,
great. Well, that's Cowboy has always been respectful. He doesn't talk crap. He's like, man, I just love doing this. This is gonna be a lot of fun,
Right.
And when people try and talk crap to him, he's like, okay, man, whatever.
Well, and
It's hard to talk crap. And
Cerrone is a
ahead.
legend.
Yeah,
He's
easily.
100% legend. He will be in the UFC Hall of Fame. Yeah,
Hall of Famer,
Yeah, no
easy.
questions asked. But yeah, Connor, the way he looked last night, I think, things are gonna get very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Especially where do we go from here?
I'm willing to say 170 is the most exciting weight in the UFC right now.
Well, so
You got so many names.
I agree. I do like the 170 right now, but interesting enough, because I think last night you and me were both talking, and we agreed that the most interesting fight would be Conor versus Street Jesus, Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah.
And God, that'd be fun. Oh, that'd be so fun. Granted, Masvidal was a lot bigger than him, and we'll see what happens. But last night after the fight, they asked Dana about it. And Dana said, next fight for Conor is probably going to be Khabib versus Conor 2.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, listen, I love the fight. I love the idea of the fight, but I don't know if that's what Conor wants. I think he wants to stay 170.
Well, so they asked Conor about that too. And Conor said the lightweight title opportunity will always be there.
He's right.
It'll always be there. And there's anybody that doesn't watch UFC, if you don't know that there is a lot of bad blood between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov.
That's putting it lightly.
Like they were talking bad about wives.
I don't know if you know this.
Children.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, and I'm gonna get. Oh man, I don't know if I want to say it. Screw it, I'm gonna say it. Muslims aren't known for being very forgiving.
No.
Especially when you talk crap about their religion, which Conor 100%
Conor
did.
talks bad about their religion, which but when
I wasn't down for that, by the way. I'm
Conor
not for
called
that.
his wife a goat. Like not greatest of all time,
that's
like
bad.
really looks like a goat.
That's pretty racist.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So
called her a towel.
Yeah, it's
that was funny, but it was bad,
so
dude.
So there's a lot of bad blood,
and
and interestingly enough, and how much of this is Conor making excuses for him getting his ass whipped? Because Khabib straight whipped the shit out of Conor.
Oh yeah,
whipped the shit out of Conor. But Conor admitted that during his training camp he was drinking a lot with the whiskey because he was promoting the whiskey.
Yeah.
He wasn't as focused as he is now, and I don't know if that's gonna make a whole
didn't take it
I
seriously.
don't know if that's gonna make a whole lot of difference. However, the Conor I saw last night, I think he has a chance. He does have.
It's hard. It's hard because it was such a short fight.
It was a short fight, but I will say that one thing that we both agree on, Conor has arguably, if not the most dangerous weapon in all of UFC, and that's his left. His left is a laser. It is a cannonball out of a glove.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a great equalizer.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's the main reason that
I don't want to say
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm not sure I'm comfortable enough to say that Conor last night I think has a chance, just because I want to see that Conor in more of a war. I want to see what he does when it gets into the championship.
Well, but that's the thing. Even when Conor was on top of the world, he didn't really go into the championship rounds. They didn't get there because Conor knocked you the hell out.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I still would rather him stay at 170. I think that would.
He's a small 170.
By the way,
5'9".
Let's clear the air real quick. We're sitting here talking about Conor versus Khabib. That's if Khabib gets by Tony Ferguson in April, and that is not a given.
Yeah. No. Tony Ferguson is
legit.
Ferguson
is incredibly good. He's very wiry. He's very squirrely. He is very accurate, and he fights off his back like a champ. He he gets on his back, he attacks. He doesn't sit back and try to get out. He will attack. And Khabib likes putting people on his back. So it's it's kind of a strength with a strength.
Yeah, it's interesting because Khabib definitely likes getting people on their back, more so against the cage. You're just not able to attack from the cage as much. Like when he's down on his butt up against the cage, you're not. I mean, I'm sure there are guys out there that could definitely do that, but I don't know about Tony if he'd be able to do that. I got to do a little more research on that one.
I think Tony's gonna be a very interesting fight. I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to take Khabib. But if
Yeah.
Tony beat him, it wouldn't be the shock of the world to me by
Yeah.
any means. And then at that point, now you're talking Conor versus Tony. And
Yeah.
okay, here we go. Because that's the one thing that they said, like when they asked Dana White about why he wouldn't do Conor versus Masvidal, which I think we both would agree would make so much money.
Yeah. Those guys
Like you gotta
talking.
it's talking, and they are the two biggest names right now in UFC. Masvidal has been for the last, I don't know, it's been about a year now that his name's been out there.
Yeah, it started with the 2-piece and a Coke.
No, it's a 3-piece.
Three-piece
and a
and a
soda.
Coke. Sorry.
You want? I got a 3-piece and a soda for you. It's one of the greatest things. Yeah, he's about a 3-piece and a soda. And then Conor got back in the biggest name last night. So that's you got to hate money if you don't make that fight. But when they asked Dana, Dana said that there's
even
no
when Conor was
belts
down.
involved.
Good.
And he said that's why it's not as big a fight. But I mean, you do have the BMF belt.
Yeah, I mean that was fun. That's, dude, it's cool, but it's kind of losing its luster now.
Well, I mean, the belt itself.
It has no luster, but because it doesn't
No,
mean
it
anything.
doesn't. But that doesn't mean that it can't be a fantastic fight. Like, I understand what Dana's saying, but you don't have to have a belt involved to be a fantastic fight.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's 100% true.
I mean, the Nate Diaz Conor McGregor fights didn't have any belt, and both of them were.
Yeah, I believe they're still the most highest performing
Yeah, I mean, both those
pay-per-views ever.
Both those fights were just like ridiculous. So, I think Conor would rather stay at 170 because he's conquered 2 other divisions. Now we've gotten to the point that lots of people have conquered 2 divisions, and Conor would like to be the first to conquer 3 divisions. Which I think if he fought Masvidal and somehow got by Street Jesus, I mean, if you beat Cowboy Cerrone and then you go beat the number 4 contender, I mean, I'm not saying you're next in line, but you're in the conversation. Your name's Conor McGregor, you're damn sure in the conversation.
He's got some big names on his list that he's beaten.
He's up there. So we're gonna see what happens.
And it's interesting if it could end up being similar to a DC John Jones type situation. DC's got some big names on his list as well, right? But the one he doesn't is John Jones.
He's John Jones's little bitch, and I love it.
I like DC.
I
like DC. He's a
I like
good
DC,
dude.
He's a good dude. I love DC as a commentator. He's a fantastic commentator.
Yeah.
Minus the fact he's a world-class wrestler and all that shit. When he sits there and calls himself the GOAT and the greatest of all time and best.
You don't get to do that. You definitely don't get to
stop
do
it.
that.
John Jones would step in that ring right now and whip you 3 ways to Sunday, and you can shut up about it.
Yeah, probably.
So,
but no, probably very.
we're
it's
going to see
happening.
what happens. So, I guess Conor said that in the next week he's going to sit down with his promoter and he's going to sit down with Dana, and they're going to decide what's best for him. And whether it's Khabib, whether it's Masvidal, whether it's Gaethje, or whoever steps in the ring with Conor McGregor, it's going to be a top thing, and it's going to be fun to watch, and I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good year in UFC. Some really good fight opportunities coming up because you're talking, like I said, my favorite right now is the 170. You still got Usman as the champ, who's a monster.
Woodley's getting back in the ring.
Colby Covington. Woodley's getting back in March against Leon Edwards. You got Colby Covington, who could have beaten Usman if didn't break his jaw. He was winning.
Get his jaw shattered, sure.
Yeah, he did, but that's Usman, You've still got Masvidal at 170, who's
Leon
a monster.
Edwards.
Nate Diaz, who could still fight. Leon Edwards is
And
a
now you're
monster.
throwing Conor McGregor in there. It's going to be fun.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot of good fights here.
It's going to be a lot of fun, so I can't wait to see it. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens. So we are gonna move this along a little bit to the big one.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. Before we get
go
into
ahead.
that, we're just gonna go ahead and take a little break because we got a little sponsor.
Ooh.
We actually doing
Oh, yeah, we
sponsorships
big
now.
time. We fancy, huh? Pinky up, boys.
Yeah, right. So here's where it's gonna be, and go. And we're back,
And
ladies
we're
and
back.
gentlemen. Nick Lackey pooped his pants.
All right, good talk. Anyways, so after that, thank you to our first sponsor. Woohoo! High five to you guys.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah, we're gonna get to the big topic that's been just all over the news. I mean, this was like first page of LA Times, first page of the New York Times. I told my wife, and she doesn't like, she knows sports, but she's not a huge sports fan like us by any means. But I told her about it, and like her eyes, like was just, she's like, "How the hell?" And what we're talking about, boys and girls, is the Houston Astros cheating scandal.
Screw those guys.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
I'll say it right now. Screw that.
My initial thought, and I could go on a freaking 40-minute rant by myself, is just kind of fuck you. It's fuck you. The baseball right now, people call it America's pastime, and it does have the most history. However, I mean, it has, like we've talked about it, it's been surpassed by football, and it's been surpassed by basketball as the top sports in America, and a lot of that has to do with the strike year in the early 90s.
Yep.
And then we had the steroid era.
Yeah, they tried to make a comeback.
Yeah, and I think
with the home run race, Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa single-handedly saved baseball.
right.
But then
Turns out they're getting a needle in their ass.
Yeah. And we could talk about steroids for days, like whether it's moral or not.
Right.
Right now, it's illegal, and you can't do it. Not everybody's doing it.
you can't do it. And then we were just kind of, after the steroid era, it seems like steroids are kind of in baseball. I mean, they popped up every now and then. Like somebody would get popped for a suspension here and there, but it wasn't the big news. And we were kind of past that. And we had some news.
I was excited. I was excited moving forward because it meant a new style of baseball was going to get played. More small ball, more not as many home runs, which I love home runs. Don't get me wrong. It's still my favorite thing in baseball.
Juiced the balls this year, but we'll get into that.
Oh, yes, they did. But we'll get into that later. We could do
By the way, if you don't think that
100%
MLB juiced the balls this year, then you're fucking stupid. I'm just throwing that out there, people.
I don't know if you're stupid. I would say naive, just because I respect our listeners. But you're also stupid.
I don't. You're stupid.
Because they clearly did.
But yeah, we were pretty much past all this, and then we were on to like actual baseball and not having to worry about a scandal. And then this. And the worst part about this is, okay, wait, side note, timeout. I'm doing a Zach Morris.
Squirrel.
Zach Morris Saved by the Bell timeout. For the listeners out there that don't know the backstory, and I don't know how you don't know the backstory, but Jim.
Again, what are you doing here?
But let's.
Why you're getting our news from us? You should know this already.
Like a quick 2-minute background. Pretty much what they were saying is that the Houston Astros at home had somebody in center field with a camera deciding which, looking at the catcher's call of fastball, breaking ball, whatever, and then relaying that by electronics. So let's get that straight. Stealing signals is not illegal in baseball.
No, that is 100% gamesmanship.
It is frowned upon, and I'm doing air quotes like you could see me, but I'm doing air quotes. It's frowned upon, but it's not.
I don't even think it's frowned. I don't think it's frowned upon by the players. You might say that the term bush league comes around a lot, but in terms of players themselves, I don't think they don't think they look at it as being bush league. I think they're like, it's just part of the game.
So, but what is illegal is to use electronics to do it. And they were saying that the Houston Astros had a camera in center field getting the sign from the catcher from a camera and then using, was it an iPad?
So it started off with the banging on the trash
had to
can.
get it, but they got the information
Right.
from center field
Right.
to the dugout.
They were getting live footage from they didn't add a camera. It was the center field camera.
Okay.
Like when you watch baseball games and it's the pitcher's eye camera where you're looking from behind the pitcher and you can look right into it and you can see the calls, right? And what they did is they were tapped into that feed into their hallway that was between the dugout and the clubhouse. And it started off with banging trash cans.
Oh, it's so bad.
And I do want to shout out, I know
John
he doesn't
Boy.
listen because he's getting bigger and bigger. John Boy, by the way, go check out. He's dead center in the middle of this because he sort of laid
we'll
it
say this,
out. And
Jim,
MLB saw the
Hey,
video.
Anybody that's listening, go to boom_buck at Twitter, and I will retweet the John Boy videos and show you what we're talking about.
Yes.
And it's obvious.
It's very damning. And it started with them. So it was somebody sitting in the hallway watching the feed on a monitor. And then it was either a bang on a trash can for a
It was
what's
two-
the word I'm looking, well, for a
was two-
changeup, or two bangs
two
for
bangs.
a changeup, and then nothing for
Yeah.
a fastball. So they're getting up to date by the second updates as to like this is the next pitch coming.
Yeah, they know if it's
And
a
I'm
90,
telling-
95
and that-
plus mile an hour fastball or 85 mile an hour breaking ball. They know what's coming, which is
Yeah.
it's a huge advantage.
That's basically like taking steroids. If you know what pitch is coming, you could take that thing 400 feet to
Like,
left
for
field.
instance, anybody that doesn't know baseball, again, I don't know why you
Well,
listen to this, but if you
I
haven't
can't.
seen Bull Durham, and when he shakes him off, and he walks back and says fastball, and the dude hits it off the bull, that's
Yep.
what happens when you know what pitch is coming.
When you know what's coming.
Um,
Pro ball players are going to be able to take
Right.
that thing and put it wherever
so
they want.
My biggest problem, well, minus the fact it's cheating, but my
Yeah.
biggest issue with this is that they were not caught. They were snitched on. It's not like
Yes.
MLB was hunting them down. We're on the verge of catching them.
Nope.
It's not like anybody was doing an investigation. The only way they got caught was a player was traded. And
Mike
yeah,
Fires,
Mike
right?
Fires, and he came out and said that this was happening. That is the only way they got
Mm-hmm.
caught. If he was still on the Astros today, we would never know. Oh, and by the way, we've
Probably not.
again, if you don't know about this, you're an idiot. But all this happened in 2017. We are finding out about this
2 years ago.
years down the road. And that's the issue that I have. Because
Yeah.
MLB didn't know about it just because somebody snitched. So now what the Astros did, mind you, the fucks, is they're
Mm-hmm.
making me question anybody who wins a baseball game.
I'm not
I
quite
am,
there.
because how do you know they're not cheating?
Yeah.
We didn't know the Astros were cheating.
Well, yeah.
Nobody even thought about it.
And it's difficult because you're actually talking about a big gigantic pot of players who all have different mentalities. Obviously, the Astros are filled with guys who don't care. They're like, "We'll cheat." By the way, here's a side note. Here's a little squirrel for you. In 2017, the year that they were cheating, because the report is out, they definitely cheated. In 2017, there were 7 pitchers that they just absolutely rocked at home. All of this was happening in Houston. Those 7 pitchers all were demoted. They lost their jobs.
They
So now they are out of potential money
millions
because Houston
millions.
doesn't care. Because Houston doesn't care. Those players that were doing that do not care. I do know that there is some talk of, so it's AJ Hinch who was fired, knew about it, didn't like it, but it still happened. So, and I was going to talk about the penalties and the punishments that came about. The 1-year suspension for AJ Hinch, who reportedly didn't like it and wanted it to stop. I'm okay with him being out a year.
I'm okay with that. Like,
Yeah, but there's no players being punished
right.
for this.
No,
None of them.
Nobody's been punished. But the issue is, I think, is there is no concrete evidence to prove that any player actually knew. There's word of mouth. There's banging on the drum, but you don't see who's banging on the drum or the trash can or whatever.
I believe the report said it was whoever was watching the monitor, which was a coach
Alex Cora.
or a well, Alex Cora was the one who
Organized the whole thing.
apparently he's the one who organized the whole thing. Or him and Beltran were in on it, or something like that. By the way, both fired from their managerial jobs. Beltran Carlos Beltran being hired by the Mets and then being fired before even managing a single game is the most New York Mets thing ever.
Well, but at the same time, like, so they got fired. Whoop-de shit. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
They could get a job tomorrow and nobody give a damn.
That's questionable because the reason that Alex Cora got fired was because they're under investigation for cheating during 2018, doing very similar to the same thing.
Under investigation and suspended is two completely different things.
Yeah, well, he's currently under investigation. The rumor mill is that it's going to be way worse than AJ Hinch.
If I'm going to get into this on my rant, but he should be suspended and for a lot longer, and I'll get into that in my rant.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But yeah, no, I mean this thing it's huge. I think players should be suspended.
I agree.
I think that
even if the whole even if the whole buzzing bandage thing ends up being true, Altuve is the one who's being focused on right now because he hit a walk-off home run to win the ALCS over the Yankees in 2017. He's circling third base. He's coming into home. He tells
do not
them,
rip off my jersey.
"Don't rip off my jersey," which is weird.
Oh, it's super weird.
It's super weird on top of it. So if you throw in the allegations of buzzing bandages, if it's true or not, that's bad. And then you talked about his numbers at home and away during the playoffs.
Yeah, no, it was like he batted almost 500 at home in 2017 in the playoffs and batted, I think it was like 130 on the road.
Yeah, it was sub 150.
Yeah, it was enormous, and it wasn't just him. It was I think it was Brian McCann, and it might have been Correa. But yeah, it was like I think it was Brian McCann batted almost like he batted like 400 at home and was batting like .053 on the road.
And for those who don't know who Brian McCann is, he's a catcher who's a very good catcher, but he's not known for his hitting.
He's not a 500 hitter.
He's not a 500 hitter.
He's not a 300 hitter, for the love of God.
Yeah. And that's the thing. He wasn't a streaky hitter either. So you could say, hey, yeah, maybe those guys were hitting streaks when they're at home. Maybe. That's a definite maybe. But Brian McCann is not one of those guys.
No, he's not. That's...
And it's my problem, and that's my biggest thing, the idea of no players being punished for this because they don't have any evidence of it other than the fact that it was being done. But for the idea that this thing is being player driven, right? Because I talked about AJ Hinch knowing about it but not saying anything and then not being able to stop it.
Oh,
but you're talking, and this is my problem as well, because Kunal, their GM, was also fired and suspended for a year. This thing, I think the whole organization, I believe that World Series title should be taken away from them.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I got the stats right here for you real quick. So Altuve at home batted .472. On the road, 143. Correa at home batted .371. Away batted .211. Brian McCann at home batted .300. Away he batted 037. If you're telling me that
Something's
this home field advantage is so good that somebody could bat almost 300 points higher, you could shut the hell up. You're probably an Astros fan. Like, you cheated. Yeah, I think that world title should be stripped.
Yeah.
I think players should be suspended.
I think players should be banned.
Yeah, like this is...
But the problem is it won't happen because they don't have any proof. Unless a player comes out and has proof.
Right.
You talk about the Carlos Beltran's niece, in air quotes.
No, that was... Yeah,
on Twitter?
That came out and said... Like, that actually came out and said that it was not... Like, that person was a hacked account. It was in no way, shape, or form related to the Beltrans or anything. But yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing was weird. But it's we talked about it last night when we were talking about it a little bit. The idea of just internet trolls coming out and just spreading fake information. The Scott Brocious' son, David Brocious.
Scott Brocious.
Scott Brocious. Chuck
Hey,
Knobloch.
by the way, everybody that's listening, I will promise you, one day I will have enough daddy juice here that I'm drinking. We will explain to you how Keith Hernandez...
He has a problem.
and, oh God, who was the other one?
Johnny
Dickshot.
Chuck Knobloch.
And how they created Big Trouble in Little China. And
No, it was planes, trains, and automobiles.
I'll explain that to you one day, guys. Don't worry about that. You all are probably thinking I'm a fucking idiot, but I'll tell you about that. But
it's because you are, but it's
true, I'm a
great.
huge idiot. But anyways, yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna get. By the way, we're gonna get a little bit more into this with the baseball thing going on later down the road.
Yeah.
We can also we're gonna dip into that and what we talk about, like the unwritten rules of baseball and our thoughts of that.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to one of my favorite parts of the show, if not my favorite part of the show, which is our closing rants.
I kind of ranted already on baseball. That's my rant. I think the World Series title should be taken away. I think players should be banned. Because if you're talking about Pete Rose, who's still in a lifetime
that's
ban
part of mine.
because he bet on his team to win.
Right. Yeah. Well, so are you conceding your time, Jim?
I am conceding my closing rants time.
Okay.
Yes, the soapbox is all yours, my friend.
So, soapbox is mine. So this is I call this section "Shut Up and Listen." So my little soapbox rant, first and foremost, something we never talk about. We probably won't again in the show. No offense to you guys, but it's just kind of the way it works. But first part of my rant, I want to give a shout out to the WNBA and their new CBA. These ladies just got a new CBA where it almost doubled their total income. They got paid maternity leave. They got their new CBA benefits them a lot. Is it what these women deserve? No, I think they probably deserve a little bit more. They are fantastic athletes. They are professional athletes. They don't bring as much in the NBA. No offense, ladies, but you're probably never going to get the $120 million deals that Russell Westbrook, James Harden get. But you do deserve more money, and you deserve what you earn. And let's get honest. Like, I mean, if I stepped on the court with a bunch of those women, they'd whip me up one court and side the other, and I will be first to admit, because my wife doesn't listen to the show, and she damn sure we are 49 minutes in, and she doesn't get this far into the show. She doesn't get more than 3 minutes into the show. But I will say,
Hey, thank you for the ones that are.
thank you.
Sorry, I'll
still
shut up now.
listening. But I will say that when she was pregnant, my wife is actually a dead shot of a basketball player, and I had no clue. And she was pregnant, and we went and played horse. And by the way, I played basketball all through high school, like pretty darn good. My wife whipped my ass at horse, so I'm pretty sure these WNBA players would do the same. So tip off to them. Secondly, real quick, kind of like we talked about with Jim brought it up. As for this baseball thing, my last thing I'm going to say about it is the fact that, like he said, Pete Rose has a lifetime ban for betting on his player, which I still think is the most asinine fucking thing on the planet, that he is banned from baseball for betting on his team to win. That's called confidence. That's not called betting. That's not called cheating. That's saying, I'm better than you. Fucking kiss my ass. I like that in a guy. And I'm okay with that with Pete Rose. If Alex Cora and these players that actually fucking cheated are trying to cheat, getting these players the pitches, don't get a lifetime ban, then at that point I'm done with baseball. I'm over you. I'm done with you. I've got basketball. I've got football. I've got everything else. I'm done with you if you don't do that. Side note, Squirrel, reinstate Pete Rose for the love of fucking God. Off my soapbox. I'm done.
There's no reason. There's no reason for them to keep him out at this point.
Right.
Because there's the groundswell for him to be in is, I mean, it grows every year that he's not
right.
in.
I mean, like, he bet on us to win, but
This-
we have steroid guys like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Sammy. Like, these guys are still getting votes. They knowingly took steroids. We got these guys that are knowing what pitch is coming. Nothing's happened to them. Pete Rose said, "My team's better than yours. I'm going to bet on you." And he's out for life. Stupidest thing on the fucking planet. But anyways, I'm off my soapbox. But anyways, anybody that's made it this far, I want to say thank you for listening to us again.
Yes, thank you.
Episode 2 is complete. I think next week we're going to get a little bit more into the Super Bowl. And I think we're going to get probably a long episode of our way too early look ahead of college football next week. As well as kind of our overview of this college football season, even though we've done that. But I think kind of what we think of next season is going to be a lot. We might talk about a little bit about some of the transfers coming in. And so all you college football nuts.
There's a lot of them.
All you college football nuts.
A lot of transfers.
We're going to be tickling your fancy next week.
Yeah, names dropping by the day.
I know.
Where guys are transferring to.
And we'll get into that too, my thought
insane.
process of the pussification of America and people not wanting to compete, but that's beyond the point here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I want to say that again. At the end of it, I want to say if you like what you heard or you didn't, you want to tell me how big of an idiot I am for telling you're a Houston fan and a jackass or anything like that, or how great Jimmy is, because
I am
he's
pretty rad.
Check us out on Twitter at boom_buck. And Jim, you could probably tell them a lot better where else you could hear our podcast or spread us around and all that fun jazz. But
yeah, we've got our sponsor. You heard it before, Anchor.fm. You were thinking about getting into joining and being a podcaster, like we are on episode 2. I don't think we're quite there yet, but still. It's amazing. You've heard everything that I said before. They drop you on so many different platforms, like they're doing for us. Whereas, just Google Boom and Buck Podcast, and our YouTube channel pops up first thing.
right, I think
So if you want to go to YouTube, we're at Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Cast. We're everywhere, and I'm trying to get us on more and more. So
yeah, hopefully we'll get there, and hopefully you guys keep listening.
yeah, because this is fun. But like Ross said, we're gonna keep doing this because we don't care what you think. This is a lot of fun.
Listen, I sit there and talk to Jimmy once a week anyway. So if you don't listen to me, guess what? I'm still going to talk. You're still going to randomly hear my annoying voice, and trust me, I'm going to get big enough that you're going to hear on the radio one day, and you're going to get just pissed because you hear my voice. So get used to it. It happens.
Whatever.
So that's it. That's us. That's signing off, and we're going to do this again next Sunday. Hopefully you guys will be
ready to go.
Fired.
Hopefully dropping Monday morning.
Yeah, well, it's all up to Jimmy's editing skills. So if it's after Monday, blame him.
If you listened to it last week, you know they're fantastic. Which is, I added music at the beginning and end.
Some fantastic hillbilly music. It was fantastic. I love it. All right, y'all. Well,
see you next week.
Thank you very much, and I'm out.